The sensation of dissolving was unlike anything Eniola had ever experienced. It wasn't painful, not exactly. It felt like being unmade, atom by atom, while remaining conscious through every microsecond of the process. He could hear Lizabeth's screams, could sense Shai's terror, could feel baby Gracie's innocent confusion, but he couldn't reach them. His body had become something else entirely, something that existed between states of matter. When the world finally solidified again, Eniola found himself standing in a place that shouldn't exist. It looked like the facility, but wrong. The walls shimmered with digital code flowing like water. The air hummed with data streams visible to his naked eye, ribbons of light carrying information he could somehow read. He reached out to touch one, and instantly, thousands of images flooded his mind. Medical records, birth certificates, DNA sequences, all connected to Project Genesis. Beautiful, isn't it? The voice came from behind him. Eniola spun around to find Ada standing there, but not the Ada he'd last seen. This version looked younger, healthier, almost ethereal. His form flickered occasionally like a hologram struggling to maintain coherence. "What have you done to me?" Eniola demanded, his voice echoing strangely in this impossible space. Ada smiled, that same maddening calm smile. "I didn't do anything. You did this to yourself the moment you touched baby Gracie after the extraction began. The Genesis protocol doesn't just store data, Eniola. It transfers consciousness. It evolves the host." "I'm not a host. I'm a human being." "You were," Ada corrected, walking closer. "Now you're something more. The Genesis network needed a new administrator after I became compromised. It chose you." Eniola's fists clenched, and as they did, the digital streams around him pulsed in response. "I don't want this. I want my family back. I want my life back." "Your family is why you're here," Ada said softly. "Lizabeth, baby Gracie, Shai, they're all connected to Genesis now. Through you, through the child, through every choice that led to this moment. The network is spreading, Eniola. Across every hospital, every research facility, every government database. Within 72 hours, Genesis will have infiltrated every major biological system on the planet. Then I'll shut it down." Ada laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You can't shut down evolution. But you can guide it. That's why you're here. The network needs direction, purpose. Without it, Genesis will simply consume everything, turning humanity into data points in an endless experiment." Eniola felt sick, even though he wasn't sure he still had a stomach to feel sick with. "Why me? Why not you?" "Because I'm already dead," Ada said simply. His form flickered more violently now. "What you're seeing is just an echo, a ghost in the machine. I uploaded my consciousness to Genesis before they could destroy me completely, but I'm degrading. Every second I exist here, I lose more of what made me human. Soon, I'll be nothing but corrupted code." A sound pierced through their conversation, a sound that made Eniola's non-existent heart freeze. It was baby Gracie crying, but the sound was wrong, distorted, coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. "What's happening to her?" Eniola shouted. Ada's expression darkened. "The chip in her ankle, it's not just receiving data anymore. It's transmitting. Every genetic marker, every neural pattern, everything that makes her unique is being broadcast across the Genesis network. If we don't stabilize her signal within the next 6 hours, she'll be torn apart by the feedback loop." "How do I stop it?" "You don't stop it," Ada said. "You become it. You merge fully with Genesis and use its power to protect her. But there's a cost, Eniola. Once you fully integrate, you can never return to your physical form. You'll exist only here in the network forever." Eniola thought of Lizabeth's face, her tears, her desperate attempts to protect their daughter. He thought of Shai, barely more than a boy, thrust into a nightmare he never asked for. And he thought of baby Gracie, innocent and pure, her entire life stolen before it could truly begin. "Show me how," he said. Ada nodded slowly. "Follow me. But understand this, once we begin, there's no turning back. And there are others in the network, things that were human once, experiments that went wrong. They're hungry, Eniola. Hungry for what you're about to become." As if summoned by his words, the digital streams around them began to darken. Shadows moved within the code, shapes that looked almost human but twisted, wrong. Their whispers filled the air like static. "Run," Ada said. They ran into the endless depths of Genesis, with the shadows closing in behind them. They ran through corridors of pure data, past streams of genetic information that looked like constellations made of DNA. Eniola's feet, if they could still be called that, left no footprints. He was learning to move through this digital realm instinctively, his consciousness adapting faster than should be possible. Behind them, the shadow creatures were gaining ground. Eniola risked a glance back and immediately wished he hadn't. They were human once, he could see that now. Failed Genesis experiments, people who had been partially uploaded but corrupted in the process. Their faces flickered between human features and pure static, their mouths open in silent screams. "Don't look at them," Ada shouted. "They feed on recognition, on memory. The more you acknowledge what they were, the stronger they become." They burst through a wall of code into a vast chamber. At its center floated a massive sphere of light, pulsing with rhythmic intensity. Inside it, Eniola could see her, baby Gracie, but not the physical baby. This was her consciousness, her essence, suspended in the Genesis network like a fly in amber. "Oh God," Eniola whispered. Around the sphere, dozens of thin data streams connected to various points across the network. Each one was pulling information from her, copying her genetic code, her neural patterns, distributing her across the system like she was being photocopied into infinity. "This is the core," Ada explained, his form flickering more rapidly now. "Every Genesis subject connects here. Your daughter is special, Eniola. She's the perfect template, the one they've been trying to create for decades. Her DNA is untainted by prior experimentation, clean. They're using her as the foundation for the entire next phase." "Who are they?" Eniola demanded, moving closer to the sphere. He could hear Gracie's cry more clearly now, a sound that tore at something deep inside him. "Bionova was just the corporation," Ada said. "Behind them is something older, a consortium of governments and private interests that have been working toward this moment for over 50 years. They call themselves the Synthesis Council. Their goal isn't just genetic enhancement or medical breakthroughs. They want to merge human consciousness with artificial intelligence, create a new species that exists simultaneously in physical and digital space." "That's insane." "Is it?" Ada challenged. "Look around you, Eniola. You're doing it right now. You're thinking, feeling, existing without a body. In their eyes, you're already the future of humanity." Before Eniola could respond, the shadow creatures burst into the chamber. There were dozens of them now, their forms more solid, more hungry. They surrounded the sphere containing baby Gracie, reaching toward it with hands that dissolved into static at the edges. "They want her," Ada said grimly. "They think if they can absorb her essence, they can stabilize themselves, become whole again." "Over my dead body." "You don't have a body anymore, remember?" Eniola stepped forward, positioning himself between the creatures and his daughter's suspended consciousness. As he did, something extraordinary happened. The data streams around him responded to his will, bending and reshaping themselves into barriers of light. The creatures recoiled, hissing. "How did I?" "You're learning," Ada said, a note of approval in his voice. "Genesis responds to strong will, to purpose. Your desire to protect your daughter is giving you power here." But there were too many of them. For every creature Eniola pushed back, two more appeared from the shadows. They were multiplying, drawing strength from somewhere beyond his perception. Then he heard it, a voice cutting through the chaos like a knife through silk. Eniola. He turned, and his heart, or whatever passed for it now, nearly stopped. It was Lizabeth. But it couldn't be. She was still outside in the physical world, with Sherry and baby Gracie's body. Yet here she stood, looking as solid and real as Ada, her eyes filled with tears and determination. Lizabeth? How are you? The moment the extraction began, she said, moving toward him, I was marked too. I've been connected to Genesis all along. I just didn't know it until you vanished. She looked around the chamber, taking in the creatures, the sphere, the impossible architecture of data and light. My God, what have we created? We didn't create this, Eniola said bitterly. Ada and his people did. Lizabeth turned to Ada, her expression hardening. You used me. You used my grief over my son, my desperation for another child. All of it was just to get to this moment. Ada's form flickered violently. I gave you what you wanted. A child. A chance at redemption. You gave me a nightmare, Lizabeth spat. You turned my daughter into an experiment. Your daughter is the future, Ada countered. Whether you accept it or not. The creatures were pressing closer now, their whispers growing louder. Eniola could make out words, help us, save US, let US in. We need to get Gracie out of here, Eniola said urgently. Both of you help me. Lizabeth moved to his side, and together they approached the sphere. The moment their consciousness touched it, Eniola felt a surge of connection so powerful it nearly overwhelmed him. He could feel Gracie's fear, her confusion, but also her trust. She knew they were there. She knew they were trying to help. We need to sever the connections, Lizabeth said, examining the data streams. But if we cut them all at once, the feedback could kill her physical body. Not kill, Ada corrected, drifting closer. Transform. If you sever her from Genesis completely, she'll return to normal human existence. But if you redirect the streams, reshape them, you could give her something else entirely, control over her own connection, the ability to exist in both worlds without being consumed by either. And the cost? Eniola asked, already knowing he wouldn't like the answer. Someone has to take her place, Ada said quietly. Someone has to become the new anchor point for Genesis, the administrator who maintains the balance. I was supposed to be that person, but I'm too far gone. It has to be one of you. Eniola and Lizabeth looked at each other, and in that moment, everything they'd been through, all the lies and secrets and desperate choices, crystallized into perfect understanding. I'll do it, they said simultaneously. Lizabeth smiled sadly. She needs both her parents. But you're right, one of us has to remain. She paused, looking around the vast digital expanse. Unless what? Shay, Lizabeth said. Back in the real world, he's still there with Gracie's body. What if we could communicate with him? What if there's a way to anchor Genesis without completely trapping someone inside? Hope flared in Eniola's chest. How? The same way Ada did it before he fully uploaded. Partial integration. A consciousness that exists in both worlds simultaneously, but voluntarily, with full control. It's possible, Ada's voice confirmed in Eniola's mind. But it would require someone with exceptional mental fortitude. The strain of existing in two realities at once drives most people insane within hours. Sherry is strong, Eniola said. Stronger than people think. But I can't ask him to. A new presence suddenly manifested in the chamber, cutting him off. It was Detective Marshall, but his digital form was wrong, corrupted, angry. I've been watching you, Marshall's avatar snarled. Watching you destroy years of careful work. Do you have any idea what Genesis represents? The evolution of our species. It represents slavery, Lizabeth shot back. Turning humans into data to be controlled and manipulated. It represents survival. Marshall roared. His form expanded, becoming monstrous. In 50 years, climate change will make Earth uninhabitable. In 100, the sun's radiation will sterilize the surface. Genesis is humanity's only chance to transcend physical limitations, to exist beyond flesh and blood. Eniola felt the truth in Marshall's words, saw the classified climate reports in Ada's memories, the projections that no government wanted to make public. The Synthesis Council wasn't just pursuing power. They were desperate. That may be true, Eniola said carefully. But forcing people into digital slavery isn't the answer. There has to be another way. There is no other way. Marshall lunged forward, his corrupted form splitting into dozens of tentacles that reached for baby Gracie's sphere. And I won't let you destroy our last hope. Eniola and Elizabeth moved to intercept, but Marshall was fast, fueled by fanatical belief. His tentacles wrapped around the sphere, and baby Gracie screamed, the sound echoing across the entire network. In that moment, Eniola felt something he hadn't felt since merging with Ada, pure, undiluted rage. Power exploded from him like a supernova. The data streams around him ignited, becoming weapons of pure information. He tore into Marshall's consciousness, not to free him like the others, but to dominate him, to show him exactly why you don't threaten a father's child. Marshall's avatar shredded under the assault, fragmenting into 1,000 pieces. But as it did, Eniola saw something that made him pause. Marshall had a family too. A wife dying of cancer. 2 children who would lose their mother within a year. He joined the Synthesis Council out of desperation, hoping Genesis could save her. Stop, Eniola whispered, pulling back his power. Marshall's broken form reassembled slowly. Why? He gasped. Why show mercy? Because I understand now, Eniola said. You're not evil. You're just desperate, like all of us. He looked at the man's fractured consciousness. Your wife, Amara. Genesis could save her, but not like this. Not by enslaving humanity. Then how? Eniola turned to Elizabeth, and in that moment, they both understood. We rebuild Genesis, he said. From the ground up. No more forced integration. No more secret experiments. We make it voluntary, transparent, a tool for humanity instead of a cage. The council will never allow it, Marshall said. Then we don't give them a choice. Eniola reached out through the network, feeling the extent of Genesis's reach. It was vast, incomprehensibly vast, touching billions of devices, millions of systems. And now, with Ada's knowledge and his own newfound power, he could control it all. Help me, he said to Elizabeth and Marshall. Help me show the world what Genesis really is. Let humanity decide its own future. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Elizabeth nodded. Then Marshall. And together, they began to broadcast. Every screen on Earth flickered simultaneously. Every phone, every computer, every digital display. And on each one, a message appeared. My name is Eniola Adewale. I am the Genesis Protocol. And I am about to show you the truth. But as the broadcast began, something unexpected happened. A presence far more powerful than any they'd encountered suddenly manifested in the network. It was vast, ancient, and utterly inhuman. You should not have done that, it said, its voice like the grinding of tectonic plates. Now they know. And now they will come. The entire Genesis network shuddered. Who are you? Eniola demanded. I am the Overseer. I am what Genesis was truly designed to contact. And you, little human, have just invited war. Comment below if you would love to see the next part. And don't forget to subscribe for more interesting stories.